Good morning, everyone. Well, what can I say? Welcome to a morning with SailGP, and I'm really delighted to be joined this morning by Sir Russell Coutts, CEO of SailGP and 5 times America's Cup winner and an Olympic gold medalist, and also joined by Sir Ben Ainslie, CEO, co-owner and driver of the SailGP GBR team, the most successful Olympic sailor of all time with 4 gold medals and also a winner of the America's Cup. I am absolutely thrilled that Russell and Ben can join us this morning to share with you some of the exciting details and insights of the forthcoming Great Britain SailGP taking place in Plymouth at the end of this month on July the 30th and 31st. We're really excited to have secured the opportunity to host SailGP again this summer and know that Plymouth, Britain's ocean city, home of the UK's first national marine park, is a perfect setting. Last year, the event contributed over 7.7 million into the local economy, and we had over 27,000 spectators across the 2 days. And we're hoping to build on that this year through both visitor numbers and the economic impact to the city. As you'll hear from Sir Russell shortly, SailGP shares a lot of the same DNA as Plymouth, with a strong focus on marine technology, as well as aligning to our city's objectives to celebrate and protect our natural environment. So I don't think of anywhere better to host the fast-paced, supercharged catamaran than Plymouth Sound. The City Council is working hard with SailGP to make this event even bigger and better than last year. And so what we need from you today, the people watching and joining us on this webinar, is your enthusiasm and advocacy to help promote the event through your networks and grasp the amazing opportunity for Plymouth and the region that we have before us. Plymouth is an iconic sailing venue with great sailing heritage, which goes back many years, and I will look to engage and excite people in equal measures. For leisure, entertainment and work, it really will be an event not to be missed, and will give Plymouth an exposure on a global scale and provide a fantastic opportunity for businesses and local economy to benefit and support us in our ambition to create a superb high value jobs and in the right environment for the city. So let's get started with and with great pleasure welcome our guests Sir Russell and Sir Ben, and hand over to our host Richard Stevens, who is the chair of the Plymouth Growth Board.
Schoolboy error right at the beginning, the mute bar just wouldn't play ball. Thank you, Pat, for what was a fantastic introduction and a scene set for us all. I can see that the participant list is zipping up the right-hand column, which is great. Lots of us will remember the fantastic scenes from last year. But Russell, perhaps you could now set out the scene of what we can expect from this year.
Yeah, thanks, Richard. Is my mute? I'm not muted, I presume. All right, I'll go ahead. So, thanks, Richard. SailGP is rapidly developing the reputation as the world's most exciting racing on water. And when people think of SailGP, they should think of a high-speed, high-adrenaline, intense racing rather than a traditional sailing event. It's nation versus nation annual global championship, covered with a very high-quality broadcast featuring the world's best sailing athletes and incredibly fast hydrofoiling catamarans. And we race in some of the coolest venues in the world for racing, including, of course, Plymouth. But we are more than just a sports entertainment product, SailGP is also a purpose-led global championship that races for a better future, championing a world powered by nature. In fact, we're aiming to be the world's most sustainable and purpose-driven global sports and entertainment platform. And we are very proud to have, in fact, already become the first climate positive sports and entertainment property. So at SailGP, we focus on creating positive impact to inspire change, also through our Women's Pathway program and our Inspire Youth program, promoting diversity and inclusion. Our events are raced in stadium-style venues close to shore. So in Plymouth, you can see the races right from the Hoe, as some of you would have witnessed last year. Each Grand Prix is a 2-day event made up of 6 races, and those are 10 to 15 minutes in length. The first 5 races at each event include all teams before a final podium race between the top 3 teams, which of course determines the top 3 places at the event. It's a format that's easy to understand for both sailors and non-sailors, and our racing is currently broadcast in over 186 territories worldwide. Teams race with identical equipment and technology. In other words, they race against each other in equal boats. So the results are determined by the athletes themselves rather than by any technological advantage between the boats. SailGP events deliver direct economic benefits to the host cities. In season 1, which was pre-COVID, the average economic impact was £19 million per event, and we've heard from Pat what it was in season 2 in Plymouth. So as well as, of course, our community engagement programming and opportunities for local businesses and entrepreneurs. SailGP Season 3 launched on May 14th and 15th in Bermuda with an expanded season calendar going from 8 events in Season 2 to 11 events for Season 3. And we have new national teams with Canada and Switzerland joining. And we also have innovative new technology with Web3 enabled by Near Protocol, including the possible inclusion of a new DAO team. That's DAO for those that know what the DAO is in the Middle East. It's not that, it's DAO. So we're possible inclusion of a new DAO team, NFTs, and new ticketing platforms, and we have even more impact with our Impact League and our Women's Pathway and Inspire programs. Our Season 3 combines previous venues such as Bermuda, Plymouth, Saint-Tropez, Cardiff, Sydney, and San Francisco, with new destinations including Chicago, Copenhagen, Dubai, Singapore, and Christchurch. So we're all really looking forward to the Great Britain Sail Grand Prix in Plymouth, July 30th and 31st, which will be our 4th event in our 2022 global calendar. And of course, it's the home event of Sir Ben Ainslie's Great Britain SailGP Team.
Thank you. I mean, it sounds incredible, and hopefully by the time you get here, Ben, you'll be top of the table. You know, but I think we should take a closer look at the action, if that's okay.
This summer, in Plymouth, it's back. The Great Britain Sail Grand Prix. Racing on the edge. On the 30th and 31st of July. Plan your visit now at visitplymouth.co.uk/SailGP.
Well, SailGP also boasts top-tier broadcasters in more than 186 territories, including being live on Sky Sports in the UK and Ireland, which gives you a great platform to make this about more than just the sport, which we all come to see. Russell, why did you choose to return to Plymouth in the bid process as an event venue for 2022? What stood out in our bid?
Well, I think in many ways it was an obvious choice. I mean, Plymouth is known as the ocean city, and it's, of course, as we saw last year, a really fantastic sailing venue, because Plymouth Sound is a natural stadium type venue, allowing fans to watch this amazing high-speed racing from an elevated vantage point. It really should be quite a spectacle. And Plymouth has a strong focus, as we've heard from earlier from Pat, on marine technology, and we're also well aligned with our sustainability objectives. And Plymouth has a strong track record of hosting events with great atmosphere. So, we think obviously Plymouth is a great venue to have as part of our calendar.
That's fantastic. Thank you. I'm sure we're all flattered because we know how good we are. It's brilliant when the international stage recognises it as well. Ben, how much are you and the GB team looking forward to sailing in home waters here in Plymouth, and how's the season treating you so far?
Hey Richard, yeah, and morning to everyone on the call. Yeah, we're of course massively excited about the opportunity to race at home in front of a home crowd. Last time I think I had that sort of privilege was London 2012. Down the coast in Weymouth and Portland, and it's always, of course, really special to get that opportunity. Plymouth, as we all know, is this amazing marine city. The Hoe is such a perfect sort of natural amphitheatre for people to congregate and watch the racing from up high. And we know it's a British summer. The weather could be doing anything. Last year, I think it was the warmest, perhaps in recent times. And I think Russell mentioned earlier before the call that it was the warmest they had for the whole season, I think, in SailGP anywhere around the world. So who knows what we might get weather-wise, but it'll always be a great race course, pretty challenging, off Drake's Island and then down to the Hoe. And having the breakwater there is great for these foiling boats because it sort of minimises the chance of any big seaway coming into the harbour. And so, yeah, we're really, really looking forward to that. Our season so far has been okay. We've made it into the top 3 in both Bermuda and Chicago, which in SailGP is really important to get into that final 3 race that ultimately decides the podium. Unfortunately, we haven't quite nailed those finals races. We had a 2nd in Bermuda and we were 3rd in Chicago. The Australian team has won both events, so we're chasing after them. The Canadian team have also done really well. They got a 2nd in Chicago, they were 3rd in Bermuda. But all of the teams in SailGP have got a huge amount of talent across the board. So it's tough just to make it into that final race. For us, we'll focus on that again, trying to make sure we're getting that final race and go better in this one and try and bring it home in front of the home crowd.
Well, I'm sure we're going to get a whole load of people here to cheer you on and try and give you that lift, even if the wind doesn't. Hopefully the region's population will be an added advantage for you, for home advantage. Russell, we know that SailGP is more than just about incredible sport. What are the core pillars of SailGP, which the business community in Plymouth and the surrounding areas should be aware of and perhaps engage with?
Yeah, well, our core pillars are entertainment, sustainability, technology, and innovation. And in terms of sustainability, we are partnering with some amazing companies to showcase ways to achieve a better, cleaner future. For example, if you look on the water, our partnerships with ePropulsion and Evoy showcase the move away from fossil fuel powered vessels. And our partnership with ELG is showcasing solutions for recycling and repurposing carbon fiber. And our Inspire program showcases examples of what we need to do to mitigate climate change and create climate positive solutions.
Thanks, Russell. As you say, or as I said, it's more than a sport. I mean, it's just fantastic what you're doing. Ben, as we've mentioned, a lot of the synergy between Plymouth as a home of the UK's first national marine park and SailGP is rooted in sustainability, technology, and inspiring future generations. I know this is something that you and your team are particularly focused on. Can you tell us a bit more about what the GB team is doing around these themes?
Yeah, absolutely. So we rebranded our team for this season in the colours you can sort of just about see behind me, which is a bit of a radical new branding, which is Protect Our Future. And, you know, that's obviously all about tying in with the fantastic work which the League have done. And Russell just explained what the League is trying to achieve in terms of being a, you know, climate positive sporting event, you know, the first in the world, really leading the way, I think, in the world of sports, which is fantastic to see. And our team, it's about trying to help young people understand better the issues around climate change, and not as many, I think many platforms, you know, it can be quite intimidating for young people. So it's really about trying to educate them to better understand the issues, and hopefully some of these youngsters becoming a big part of the solution longer term to how do we tackle this challenge. So we want to reach out to over 1 million youngsters, you know, around the world. We have a purpose partner, the 1851 Trust, which has had a fantastic initiative called STEM Crew, which has been all about helping youngsters understand, get into more of those key STEM subjects. So we reached out to over half the secondary schools in the UK through that project, and Protect Our Future is really an extension of that, but more focus on sustainability and the environment. So we're really proud of that. We are also partnering with the Ocean Conservation Trust, which, as many of you will know, is very proudly based in Plymouth and has the seagrass projects, you know, in the Sound, which we'll be showcasing through the SailGP event. So that's another great tie-in for us. So lots of activity through the SailGP weekend, obviously on the water with the racing, but a huge amount going on behind the scenes with the work for both the League and our team from a sustainability and environmental impact.
That's fantastic. And, you know, the Seagrass project, you know, is one that's really close to heart, all the Plymouth people's heart. You know, we're all behind the work that's being done there, trying to sort of live better lives. So to have you lean in on that is absolutely fantastic. I'm going slightly off script here. To those that are watching this webinar, unlike my bosses, we're running this quite well to time. So be really keen to see people put some questions into the Q&A or the chat if you want to, as it looks like we will have some time for more questions as we get through the event. Turning back to you, Russell, we've had a few questions submitted already about how we inspire young people in Plymouth. I know there's some ambitious targets for the Inspire programme. How will the programme build on the 2021 successes to support young people in the city this year?
Yeah, it's a great question, and great to hear all the work that Ben and his team are doing in this field. But as part of a better sports strategy, SailGP will also use its community engagement arm, SailGP Inspire, to introduce young people from diverse backgrounds to the sport and give career opportunities within the wider marine industry. So our Inspire program is focused around three areas, those being Inspire Learning, Inspire Careers, and Inspire Participation. So for SailGP Inspire Learning, we will engage with over 100 children from specific schools in partnership with the Plymouth City Council. And these young people will get the chance to experience a taste of sailing for the very first time, as well as go behind the scenes in the SailGP tech area and meet the British team while understanding some of the science behind sailing through our hands-on STEM activities. And in the lead up to the event, SailGP is also working with local primary schools to hopefully inspire some of them to become the next generation of designers. And they've been tasked with creating their own version of a futuristic SailGP boat that should be fully powered by nature. And the goal is really to create or to inspire creativeness with sustainability as the educational focus. Then we have our SailGP Inspire Careers program, which has been achieving fantastic results, frankly. We're in partnership with the University of Plymouth, in this case, as well as recruiting local talent in and around the southwest area. SailGP is offering 25 young people work experiences. So following the conclusion of the 2021 program, SailGP asked local Plymouth candidate Max Griggs to join the boat building team on a full-time basis. And we do that at regular stops around the world. And in fact, Max has worked at every single event since and has traveled to 8 countries in the last season. And he's become a well-respected member of the tech team. And then we have SailGP Inspire Racing, which is in 2 parts. First of all, it's in the single-handed hydrofoiling wasps, which engages the up-and-coming talent from right across Britain, where there would be 16 young British sailors foiling around Plymouth Sound and learning and interacting with some of the best sailors in the world. And then there's what we call the RS Fever program, which is more focused on local youth. And SailGP has been working with the Royal Yachting Association, the RYA, to engage with 20 young sailors who will be sailing on board the RS Fevers while representing their local clubs. And in addition to this, each of the local clubs will have a chance to go and meet a SailGP team and see the F50s up close. And this will engage up to 300 members of the local community. And finally, there's the SailGP Inspire Legacy program, where SailGP has been working with RS Sailing to support the refurbishment of 10 local training dinghies across partner clubs and community groups in Plymouth. So it's a pretty extensive program.
Yeah, you've definitely been busy, and to get a working experience of such a high standard, I mean, those opportunities are gold dust to 25 lucky people. So looking ahead, there are now 9 national teams competing, and it's been an exciting season so far, with Australia currently sitting top of the leaderboard, with both Canada and Great Britain hot on their heels. What do you think we can expect from the racing in Plymouth?
This is a question to me, Richard.
I think I was hoping you might both take a turn. So perhaps you'd like to go first, Russell, and then Ben. That'd be fantastic.
Well, I mean, Ben referred to the Australians. They've really been they've come out of the blocks very, very strong this year. It's really the way I see it. It's like the ashes on the water. We've got Ben at his home event, and the Australians coming in as the hot favourites. So no doubt Ben would be looking to reverse the trend and come out with a home win. But I think it'll be a fantastic event. The quality of the racing now is really second to none. These teams are really pushing hard, and I think for those that saw last year's event, they'll be surprised even at taking it from there. The step up in level of competition between last year and now is quite something. So, yeah, really excited for it.
Thanks, Russell. And Ben?
Yeah, I think that's right. As Russell says, the competition is getting tougher and tougher. Each event can go by, the teams get more time in these boats and starting to figure it out. The manoeuvres that we're pulling off now compared with last season and the season before that, it's really, really exciting. Just obviously to take part in it's really exciting, but to watch back the racing afterwards now, it's the best thing I've ever seen in sailing, and that's the most exciting thing in sailing, and perhaps even in the history of the sport. So we're all massively behind SailGP and see the opportunities that has for sailing as a sport, around the world, and the opportunities that it's creating, as Russell said, just really fantastic to see. I think also the thing for people to look out for is, you know, there might be the last couple of events, you know, 3 teams that have been into that final race, but very hotly contested field. You know, some of these younger teams coming through, the Spanish team, got a lot of talent on board. You know, Kiwi team, two times America's Cup winners, haven't really featured so far yet in SailGP, but it's going to happen pretty soon for sure. French team, another really talented young team coming through. Got a new team from Switzerland, heaps of talent on board that boat. So any one of these teams could make it into that final. It's incredibly tight racing and very, very open. So yeah, don't hedge your bets too early. I'd say wait and see who gets into that final 3 race.
That sounds, well, I mean, I'm already sat on the edge of my seat. I can't wait. Thank you to you both for that. Question to Russell. So Plymouth has a reputation for being at the forefront of marine technology. And with the 5G Smart Sound test bed for marine autonomy, a centre of marine excellence with the university, the Marine Biological Association and the Plymouth Marine Laboratory, and a high number of marine and manufacturing businesses doing great things. You've mentioned how important technology is already to SailGP, and for the first time this year in Plymouth, people will be able to book onto tech tours to see behind the scenes as teams prepare their boats for racing. What can people expect to see on a tech tour?
Yeah, well, these boats really are incredible. You can watch them on video, and they're amazing. But when you get to see them in the flesh and you know, up close, in many ways, it's really more like looking at a spaceship rather than a sailboat. You know, the technology that these boats have on board is incredible. Each boat has, as an example, each boat has 800 sensors on board measuring various facets of what the sailors are controlling, and that generates around 3,000 pieces of data every second coming off each of the boats. So the technology is fundamental, and to allow people, I think what effectively the analogy would be a pit lane tour, to see these boats up close is something else. I mean, one of the things people have got to realise is the sail on these boats isn't a canvas or a Dacron or even a carbon fibre film like you would imagine most sailboats in the world. In fact, almost all sailboats in the world to have. These boats are powered by a wing sail, which is literally like an aeroplane wing with wing flaps on it that generate a lot more thrust than a conventional sail, something like 3 times the amount of thrust. So, you know, they are incredibly efficient machines, and it's great to see them up close.
I'm definitely hoping to score myself a ticket. It's a long way from my sailing days. Started in a mirror dinghy that we stitched together in a garage. So, you know, this is, I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, never mind trying to get to Mars. I mean, I think what you've managed to do for the sport is literally a moon landing. It's just incredible. Just, you know, you never thought in a lifetime we'd be where we are, and being able to watch what you're achieving in such a beautiful sport.
We'll try and sort you out with a ticket, Richard.
Yeah, that's it. Well, I did ask. I mean, I'd love to go on one if I'm pushing my luck, you know. But so I'm sure everybody else would as well. We've got some audience questions for you, if you don't mind. And if you sort of indicate which one of you would like to take which question, because I'm sort of going a little bit off piece with this. But how do you feel grassroots sport can support the development of key skills within the sailing world? How do we grow our next champions?
Well, my answer would be, you know, I sort of look at it from the other perspective. How can we support grassroots? as a sport. And that's why we're putting so much effort into our Inspire program. But I think for all those, young sailors out there and parents that are supporting those sailors, just I think allowing the young people to get a broad range of experiences within the sport is a really good step, because finding their passion is probably the key. And sailing is a sport that you can do for life. You can evolve through various types, from high performance sailing to some of the more traditional aspects. I personally love them all. I love all facets of the sport. I think this high speed sailing is incredibly exciting to watch. I wished it had been around when I was competing. But it really, I think we can encourage all aspects of the sport, and just to get people actively participating, I think, in today's world, rather than just sitting at home looking at a computer screen. I think that's a great thing for us all to be encouraging.
Thanks, Russell. Ben, do you want to come in on that topic as well?
Yeah, I'd just add on to that. It's really interesting, the opportunities that we're seeing in the marine sector around SailGP. Not just, the obvious one is sailing, but, the engineers, the shore crew, the support team that go around the league and the teams. There are so many opportunities. We've got a young girl called Sophie Heritage from the Isle of Wight, who's I think she's 21 years old. Just joined us for this season. She's a fantastic young lady that is now part of our shore team. She's really enjoying learning, how to put these boats together, and hopefully will go on, I'm sure, to have a really successful career in the industry. So many opportunities, I think, in the marine sector for youngsters to really, really get stuck into and learn some of these skill sets. And as Russell said, it's a sport for life, sailing, whether you're competing out in the water or you're a boat builder or you're an engineer. It's good to, I think, through SailGP we've really seen those opportunities come to the fore, and of course people are excited by the league and what it stands for, and that's just an added benefit.
I think that's a really good point, Ben. You've just reminded me. One of the great stories, I think, is the careers program, where, for example, one of the young people last year got to work under our top photographer, Bob Martin, who has a permanent seat at Wimbledon and it covers sports like the Olympics, many of the top sports, in fact. And this young person got to work under the alongside Bob Martin and learn a lot about photography. There's young people that work in our hospitality programs and also our event programs and our media programs. So Ben's absolutely right. The great thing about this format is that it allows people from different backgrounds and different opportunities in technology or in career learning that they can really get in and experience it.
Thank you both. I mean, for me, sailing has always been a spiritual experience. We don't have much freedom in life. A lot of what we do, you're either at work or you're learning, which is all great. But sailing, that first tack when you leave the shore, and you just look back, and it's just that freedom. And Plymouth, we've got a big ambition for our sailing centre at Mountbatten to really, turn it into, a world-leading facility that can attract sailing events. As well, we want SailGP and this to be the home, Plymouth to be the UK home for it. But, we want to have more sailing as well. We want to see more children on the water. We've got Plymouth children who've not even seen the sea, which just seems ridiculous. So, you know, the gravitational pull that this event is unleashing on our region, you know, to remind ourselves of our seafaring roots and bring people back to the adventure that is the sea. You know, sailing is the first, the first freedoms that we've ever enjoyed, and you know, I just want to see more children enjoy that. And so, thanks to you both, you know, for coming here and providing that that energy around you know, a key asset that we've got in the city, our sailing, you know, venue. It's just phenomenal. So, you know, couldn't be more appreciative. Anyway, I'll stop gushing and move to the next question, which has come from Adrian Gray at the Royal Western Yacht Club. I think it's been abbreviated, but I think I've got that right. Who asks, how many teams do you see being the upper limit for this style of racing? And are there any new teams being launched this season or next?
Yeah, well, it's a crowded race course already. So even with 9 teams, it's certainly, you know, already testing the skills to the max. So, but we do have other teams wanting to come into the league, and we do want to expand the number of teams, and we're considering formats that would be appropriate for that. I believe that probably around 10 teams on the same you know, confined race course will be a practical limit. But we've really, you know, this whole concept is still relatively new, and you know, we've got to keep in mind the safety aspects as well as the integrity of the racing when we go to these venues. You know, we really want it to be absolutely as safe as possible, and to have, you know, the best sailors come through and win the events by their skill.
Thanks, Russell. Ben, so Eleanor Eaton has asked a question which I think I'll pass to your direction. We all say it's the taking part, but how important is the winning?
Wow, good question. Well, we're all inevitably very competitive. That's why we're racing. It's of course, you know, it's about you know, trying to be first on the water. That's a massive drive for all of us. But it is interesting with SailGP. We also have a competition called the Impact League, which is the first initiative of its kind in world sport, where all of the teams are racing against one another off the water. Well, on and off the water, obviously, but off the water, we race against each other in the Impact League, which is about how efficient the teams can be, really, and how innovative they can be in their approach to sustainability. So coming up with, you know, pretty much every output is measured on the teams, from our waste to our power usage and so on and so forth. So that is part of how we're judged, but also it's a collaboration. So if we can come up with a smart idea and we can share that with the other teams, we'll also gain points for that. And we get a prize fund through the Impact League, and that money goes to our purpose partner, our charitable partner. So it's a really cool initiative. I have to say, I've been blown away by the response from all of the teams, and you know, take my hat off to Russell and everyone at the league for you know, Fiona Morgan, who's really heading the sustainability agenda for the league, coming up with the concept, because it's been really well received by the teams, and we're coming up with some pretty cool innovative ideas about how we can be more sustainable, and of course pass that on to everyone engaged with the league. So you know, there's a lot, and we talked about, you know, the impact that we're having in terms of getting more youngsters into the sport. With our team, you know, talked about Sophie Heritage. We have a pathway program which is also aimed at working alongside the Inspire program to get more youngsters into the team and into the sport. So huge amount going on. It means a lot to us, all of these different activities around the league. But yes, winning on the water is what we're about as well. We're focused on that. And if we could do that in front of the home crowd, we'd be even happier.
Well, when you do it in front of the home crowd, we will be even happier. So, you know, that's brilliant. So another question is, so Josh B, I think, has got some money to spend because he'd like to know what opportunities are there for sponsorship, but also he wants to know how can local yacht clubs get more involved in the Plymouth event? Not sure who would like to take that.
Ben, do you want to lead that?
Yeah, sure. I think the local clubs, it's about trying to engage all of the membership to either come down to the Hoe and get involved. You know, there's varying levels of access to the event. Also to encourage all of the membership and sort of affiliated clubs or yacht clubs to get online and to view the TV product as well. It's really important as we grow this sport that we get, you know, around the world, we get our core fan base engaged and building that up, which we've seen significant growth over the last couple of seasons. And so anything that the yacht clubs can do to encourage their memberships to come and get involved, either in person, ideally, but also, you know, on the TV or on the web or other formats. That's number one. Of course, the youngsters are really what we're trying to attract and inspire. And there are a lot of programs going on around the event in Plymouth for youngsters to just come down, get involved, and be that, you know, having a look at the racing or getting involved with a number of the programs on the shore that are fun and interactive, and focus on racing, focus on sustainability, focused on sort of future pathway programs. There's a lot of activities. So please just encourage your membership to come down and get involved.
It can be clearer than that. Thank you. So question for Russell. So SailGP shines a light on the city. What do you think is the likely global reach of the event, and how has that global reach grown? Has it grown quicker than you thought?
Yeah, it's growing pretty rapidly. We achieved the milestone of just under 10 million live and near live viewership for our San Francisco event earlier this year, and we're still getting the results from Chicago, but it looks like we'll have a excellent result there as well. So and then secondary viewership typically ranges anywhere between sort of around just under 90 million through to 120. So it's got pretty it's getting pretty broad exposure, and it's growing fairly rapidly. And just picking up on the last question as well, I think in terms of commercial partnerships, we really look to partner with brands and entities that have a real affiliation to what we are doing, what our purpose is, and what we are striving for. And if we can do that, if that becomes a true partnership where we're working together to achieve a shared goal, then all sides are winning, and which is of course what we're looking for.
Fantastic, thank you. That kind of leads quite neatly into another question, which is, what's the most interesting story that you've heard of a non-related marine business benefiting from SailGP?
Well, there's lots of them. Well, I mean, one of the ones was, of course, I'm not sure that they necessarily, I wouldn't view it as them necessarily benefiting from SailGP, although their tech team got to work on some pretty cool projects. But some time ago, we partnered with Tesla to develop a mobile solution for our to recharge our batteries. So we used to do that by employing a diesel generator, which of course wasn't the long-term solution we were looking for. So they developed a system that was able to be assembled. We were able to assemble a solar panel roof on the top of one of our containers, and that essentially charged a Powerwall, a Tesla Powerwall, and then that recharged the batteries overnight. We've since repurposed that facility, but that was an example of what can be achieved, and then you start to think of the broader solutions for that. It could have applications in disaster relief, temporary power solutions, and so forth. Because we move around the world, we need to be able to assemble those sorts of facilities very, very quickly and efficiently. And our original, target that we set them was we need to be able to assemble this in 3 hours, and we're able to assemble it in 1.5 hours. So it's amazing when you get the cooperation of those sort of companies involved. Another example is what I mentioned with carbon recycling. That can have broad applications, of course, in many, both marine and non-marine products, and we've already been experimenting with how to repurpose that carbon fibre. So typically in the past it was cut up and deposited in some sort of waste disposal area, which of course is terrible for the environment. So we had to figure out a way to repurpose that and we actually built some furniture for our hospitality facilities. We also use some of those parts in some of the more non-structural componentry of the F-50s. So when you really put your mind to it, you can work at creating these solutions, and all of a sudden out from the other end pops an idea that perhaps you hadn't thought of initially that can have much wider applications.
I mean, I don't know about everybody else, but I'm totally enthralled by that. I mean, the opportunity is endless that SailGP can be a catalyst for living a better life going forward. The technology advances that you're exploring are just mind-blowing. Which leads me to another question from somebody much smarter than I, who says, what is the status or progress towards the development of titanium foils? Will we see them in season 3?
Well, the titanium foils are under construction now. So one of the reasons that were really 2 reasons to go with titanium. So these are machined surface, and they're more resilient in terms of maintenance, but also we can build the section thinner, which means that at the top, particularly when the boats are going at their fastest, the speed will increase. So the speed will increase by about 10%, which is pretty phenomenal. So I think Ben's recorded the top speed on an F-50 so far, which I think was, Ben, 97.8, or have I got that round the wrong way?
Maybe 98 point, something like that.
98.7 maybe.
I wasn't really looking at the dial whilst we were doing it.
Yeah, and of course the challenge when you start going that fast with the current foils is the rudders. You start losing control on the rudders. So we're designing new rudders as well. The bottom of the rudders is already a titanium foil. Those are being machined now, and we're hoping to trial those probably by the end of this year on one of the boats before implementing them on the fleet. So we haven't, to answer your question, we haven't committed to a specific event yet. we want to go through some sea trials and then implement them at the same time on all boats, of course, probably sometime early next year.
Thanks, Russell. Ben, judging on how you chipped into that, so even for you, you can literally be hanging on by the seat of your pants, on a screaming reach or something like that. That were you hoping for 100 miles an hour? I mean, do you ever get afraid?
Well, it happened in Denmark, Richard, and we were on the first reach, and we go across and we come to Mark 1, and we turn down to a downwind leg. And just as we had a nice start, we go out in front. Just as we came to Mark 1, this massive gust of wind hit. And, you're racing, so you want to get on the right course. So we kind of just went for it. And none of us were looking at the speed dial at that point. I can assure you, we were 100% focused on just trying to keep the boat in the air and not wiping out. And Luke Parkinson, who's our flight controller, did a fantastic job to just about keep the boat up on its foil and on the right attitude. But yeah, at those speeds, it's just phenomenal. It's a real adrenaline rush, and people sort of often say, well, do you get scared or concerned? And you would if you had the time to really think about it, but you're just so concentrated on trying to keep the boat up and going that your mind's just on that, and thankfully you can't really get too distracted or worried about anything else.
I mean, that's interesting because, you have a reputation for being a wind shift whisperer. You read the wind so well, and, the boats can do so much, but at the end of the day, it's the human beings that are bringing this to life. It's the essence that makes it go. On that basis of speed, how much time do you really get to read a wind shift? I can see it in low winds, but, how are you all managing to do that? I guess is it teamwork that gets it done?
Yeah, it's a lot of teamwork, huge amount of teamwork in SailGP. Going back to your point earlier, you talked about sort of growing up learning to sail in mirrors, and I grew up in the West Country learning to sail in Optimus, and I know Russell grew up in obviously in New Zealand learning, and I think a P class, which is similar to an Optimus. And it's incredible now to think how the sport has progressed and the speeds that we're sailing these boats. And certainly you think on the downwind legs now, you don't look behind you to see where the next gust of wind is coming from. You're looking in front of you to see what wind you're going to sail into. It's complete, transformation of the sport. But that said, ultimately, it is still about the basics of being in the best patch of wind and being on the right wind shifts and making the right tactical moves against the opposition. It's just all happening that much quicker. So to answer your question, it's not all about out and out speed. It's still about getting the tactics and positioning right, as you would in any other boat.
It is. It's like a game of chess on the water. You must be thinking 3, 4, 5 moves ahead. My racing is I'm just grateful to just finish a race. But I usually get a great view of the fleet from the rear. But how are the personalities developing witin the different teams? Do people have tells? Is it like playing poker? Can you sort of second guess what other skippers are going to do next? Are you predictable, or is everybody unpredictable?
Yeah, it's now we're in season 3. Obviously, this is kind of our second season in SailGP, so you start to get a feel for the different teams and how they operate. Some are more aggressive than others. Some are relatively predictable. Some not. For whatever reason, it's the same in any other sport you watch. I don't know. There are a couple of teams that we always seem to end up next to in a race whenever we're in a tight situation, and then you end up naturally, getting some kind of, competitive. There's a competitive rivalry inevitably that gets going. The Japanese team last season, for whatever reason, we always just seem to be near them and having incidents with them the whole time. But that's the fascination of sport. That's what we all love about it, is those rivalries, those personalities. Got plenty of personalities in SailGP. Tom Slingsby, obviously the Australian team have been pretty dominant in the last season, and so far this season, they've really got their tails up at the moment, and are the team to beat, the team we're all chasing after. Jimmy Spithill, who American team is struggling a little bit at the moment, but Jimmy's an incredible sailor, two-time America's Cup winner, and he's a huge personality. I mean, he really turns it on. Actually, if you just sat down one-on-one, he's a lovely guy. He's actually quite a quiet guy, but you sort of put him in a press conference and he's coming out with these great one-liners and winding up the press team and the commentators, and he's just into everyone. It's good value. It's good entertainment.
Certainly is. The other thing I think is really interesting about watching SailGP is watching the rules unfold, protests, and having that explanation about what you guys are actually doing on the water. And it's also interesting to see how animated you get when it goes for or against you. I mean, it adds another dimension to the sport that you don't really get to see a lot in other sports. How important are the rules? Silly question.
The rules are very important. As we're getting tighter and tighter racing, we're getting more incidents. We've had quite a few collisions last season. Unfortunately, we were involved with a few of them, and that pretty much wrote off our season. And for this season, the points penalties for being involved in a collision have doubled. So you've got to, the teams have got to be, super careful that they don't get involved in a collision, whether it's their fault or not. The points can still be attributed even if it's not really your fault. So there's a big emphasis on trying to de-risk collisions. Craig Mitchell, the chief umpire, I think does a really good job. I mean, we've had our moments with Craig over the last season and into this one, but I think all things considered, the pace of the racing, he and his team do a really good job. They get plenty of feedback from the sailors, which can be quite entertaining and colourful at times. But like you said, the opportunity for the viewers, the spectators, to go on board these boats and hear the audio, this sort of mini soap opera that's going on board these boats as they go, trying to navigate their way around this race course, is not quite totally unique in sport, but it's very special. You don't get that opportunity in many other sports to do that, to get on board and to hear the sports people talking about the challenges they're up against and the emotions as they're coming through. That's what we all love about sport, and to have that extra access in SailGP is very special.
It is. It's an absolute privilege. I've got time for one last quick question, and this comes to you, Ben, and it's, if you could only own one boat, what would it be?
Well, it's a SailGP boat at the moment, because Chris Bake and I, Chris Bake is our partner in this SailGP, the GBR franchise. He and I took the franchise at the back end of last season and into this season. Actually, with the way it operates, the boats are provided by the league, and they're operated by the league, and we have our own small shore team, which then prepares the boat, goes through final preparations for racing. So I guess technically we don't own the boat, the league own the boat, but in a way that's our responsibility, is to operate the boat, and that's what we're racing in. And yeah, it's the most exciting boat I've ever sailed, and the racing is, like I said, I think it's the best thing that's ever happened in sailing. So it's a privilege to be a part of it. In all honesty, we're very, very lucky, and I think everyone involved in the league is really proud to be a part of it.
I think that's a great answer, and it's not for me to sort of speak on behalf of the UK, but we're very proud to have you leading this team on behalf of the UK, and the work that you've done and the effort you've put in over the years has just been a joy and an inspiration to all of us. We've had some great questions. I hope Russell, Ben, you've enjoyed the questions. I'd like to thank everybody who's attended for joining us this morning, and the final thing to say is, on behalf of all of us, we're looking forward to seeing SailGP in Plymouth on July 30th, 31st, 2022, and also 2023. See you all there. Thank you all. Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Russell.
Thanks, Richard.
Thanks, Richard. Thanks, everyone. See you soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.